Yeah, you can start on this. Okay, so today we are going to understand. Yesterday we saw the framework, how to create a package and create a class and method and all. So today we are going to write a simple program, how to automate a web application. Just today we see how to automate text boxes and buttons. So first of all, when we are automating any application, we first get the URL. So we first know what is the URL of that application. So generally where you will get that URL means here. This is the URL. So by using this URL only, we are able to launch this application. So we have a URL, just copy that and come to the Eclipse. So we have seen, like we created yesterday ABC and ABC test. So instead of ABC, as I'm taking an application as a IRCTC, I'm going to refactor the name as IRCTC. Refactor means we can able to rename it. And inside that we have a class. So I'm going to change this class also. So our aim is to test the register functionality. So I'm giving IRCTC registration. Likewise, method name also I'm changing. Make sure you are observing the naming functional naming, like how I am just defining the names. All these method name, class name, package name, all are user defined. Inside. Okay. So now, a very first thing, we have to set the driver what we are using. So for that we are using, we already added the dependency WebDriver. So WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver. I'm going to launch my application in Chrome browser. So I'm just using Chrome driver dot setup. So once we done this, we must create, as I said, Selenium library is having multiple classes with different methods. By using those methods, we can able to automate the web applications. So first thing, we must create an object for the class where you have a methods which we can use to automate the web applications. So right now, the methods we are going to use, which is there in the Chrome driver class. So generally the syntax for Chrome driver class is class name, object name equal to new class name. So this is a syntax, and the class name is a Chrome driver. So that's the reason I'm just giving Chrome driver. Object is our wish. Our wish, we can give whatever the name we want, but universally people will define with a driver. So that's why I'm giving us a driver. Then new Chrome driver. So we have created an object. So most of our prerequisites are done. So now let's start writing the code. Before testing anything, any application, any web application, first we have to launch the browser. We have to launch the URL. As I said, remember always, whatever manually we are doing, we must define every step in the automation. You can't skip anything. If you skip anything, the flow you will miss. So first things first, we have to launch the browser with the required URL. So for that, we use method called, by using this instance, we can able to get all the methods which is coming from the Chrome driver class. So driver.get is a method. By using this method, we can launch the browser. So I copied the URL over there and I presented it here. So after launching the browser, generally when we do an automation, the launch get will be like this, means it is not in a full screen. So what we have to do, the next step to maximize it, you have to click on this maximize option. So we have to write the script for that also. Driver dot manage window maximize. So I'm managing the window to maximize it. The next one is driver dot. After maximizing, I must click on the register button. There is a because I'm going to test the functionality of registration. So let me inspect. See, for every web element, see in a web application, whatever the components are present, like whether it is a buttons or a text boxes or drop downs or whatever, these are called as a components, or these are called as a web elements, because these web elements are present in the web applications. So in technical terms, these are called as a web elements. So register is also a web element. I'm inspecting that register. For every web element, there is a unique reference. There is a multiple references, but you must always take a unique reference by using the locators. So let's see what are the different locators we have. We have different locators present in Selenium. ID, name, class name, tag name, CSS selector, XPath. We have absolute and relative XPath. Okay, and we do have a something called link text, partial link text. So we have these many locators available in Selenium. First, let us see what is the most preferable locator, which is ID or a name. If ID is present, you directly go and take ID, or if no name is present, if ID is not there, then name is there, then go for a name. If both are not available, usually we will write our own XPath, which is called as a relative XPath. Absolute XPath we will not use mostly. I'll tell you why, because we will not use mostly. Because absolute XPath, generally, for example, if we inspect any web element, we have this line. This line is representing register. Here, if you see ID is not there, name is also not there. And if you see class name and all is not so preferable, it always have a duplicates. Tag name will be used when we have a web tables and all, we use a tag name. CSS selector mostly font size, color, such situations. Link text and partial link text, when you have a links in web application, we use these two. Or the XPath will be common for, you can use anywhere. So most preferable locators are first ID, name, or XPath. That too in XPath, we go with the relative XPath, which is we write our own XPath. But absolute XPath is an XPath you can copy actually. So right now I don't have an ID and name. I'm going for absolute XPath. Just right click, copy the XPath. When you copy the XPath, Control F here, Control V. See, it is showing 1 of 1. When it is showing 1 of 1, obviously it is representing this yellow colored mark and it is showing a register, right? So, and if you see, it is coming from this tag, HTML tag. This is traveling from the parent tag. What is a disadvantage here means, if any element before changed, for example, if I'm moving above, you can see it is changing actually. It is representing each component after component. So if anything is changed in this page before register, this particular XPath will not work. For example, there were 2 divs before. If you see here, there were 2 divs before. Now one div is removed. Now it became only one div. See, this locator is not identified. So it's kind of a static XPath and it takes the dependent web elements. So any previous web element is changing, this particular locator will not work. So that's how absolute XPath will work. So right now, today's class, we use a absolute XPath only, and next class, we'll understand how to write our own XPath. So I don't have any ID and name, so I just copied the XPath driver dot. We use a method called find element by dot XPath. We have all the locator present down. So I'm selecting XPath and I'm sending the value inside. Dot generally what action I'm doing, I'm clicking on that particular web element. That's it. It will do what it will do. It will click on the register. After clicking on the register, I'm trying to enter the value inside the username. So here, if you see the user ID is present, so I'm taking the ID, but better check once. Control F, Control V, and this is representing 1 of 1, and it is representing username. So this is good, unique. So I'm taking that. Driver dot find element by dot ID. This time we are using locator as an ID. That's the reason we are taking an ID. Dot send keys is a method we use to send the value inside the text boxes. I'm sending the value inside the text box. Then only up to this much I'm doing. Then after I'm closing the browser. To close the browser, we use driver dot close. We have quit also, just driver dot close. When we have a single window, we use a driver dot close, and quit will be closing all the windows. Okay, and to run the code, I'm using test-ng. So at the rate test annotation, I am giving and I'm importing test-ng. Save, run. It's launching the browser, maximizing next step. Next step is maximizing, clicking on register, and it is stopping. It's not entering username. And my execution is failed. Why it is failed? You can see the reason in console always. Why, what it is showing? No such element exception. So username, like username, there is no element present in the page. It is showing like that, but it is there, right? Why it is throwing such kind of a exception? Because after clicking on register, it is taking a unseenly, there is a time delay, but our code is more faster than that. So it is throwing an exception. So what we have to do, we should provide some time before executing the username, like, this particular 25th line, we are trying to provide some time. So here milliseconds, 3000 milliseconds is equal to 3 seconds. So I have provided that. And as I'm stopping the execution, I have to handle the exception. These are the Java exceptions. We have interrupted, exception, and throwable. I'm using interrupted exception. Control save. If I run the code now, as we are wantedly stopping after clicking on register, our driver will wait for 3 seconds, then only it will go to the next step. So during this time, what happens? It works for sure. Because by the 3 seconds, the page will be completely loaded, the DOM will be loaded, the locator will be available. See, the test case is passed, but I'm not visibly see whether this username is really entered or not. So I'm just giving some more time. Right now it is entering, we are able to visibly see. And it's closing. The test case is passed. So this is how we automate the web applications. Especially today we learned about what are the different locators. A sample test how to launch the browser, automate the text boxes and buttons. So what you can do, open Facebook application, Facebook registration. You have this page. Try to automate because this is also text box, this is text box, this is text box, this is also text box. You can leave this drop downs and this is button again. So you can treat this as a button only. If locator is not present, any ID or name, go and copy the X part. Okay, so you can just fill this form, leave the drop downs alone. Apart from that, you can automate the remaining fields. So this is how we do a simple code which help us to understand how to set the Chrome driver, then create an object for Chrome driver class, because all these methods are coming from the parent and the child classes of the Chrome driver. And once we create an instance of Chrome driver class, by using that instance, you can able to access all the related methods from there. So generally to launch, we use get method, and to maximize, manage window maximize. And we use like a clicking on the register right now we are doing means generally any button, the same process, only locator will change. And comes to the text box, like inspect ID, just set this. That is it, guys. Yeah, that's it.
Page.
Yeah, happy.
Yeah, did you use Selector Hub? Can you hear me, Page?
Just stop the streaming, happy, then we'll discuss.
Okay, okay.